need more music content on my channel, so let me walk through one of my project files. This is going to be for a track that I released pretty recently. It's called Primalis. If you haven't heard it before, it sounds like this. I'll play it back for you. It's kind of like a hard techno-ish, more so driving techno, and it's got a little bit of that psytrance bass to it. I'm gonna see if I can still load up my project file for this song. There have been a few updates to Ableton since I last worked on it, and some updates to a few plugins, so I hope everything still works. It's thinking about it. It does take a while to load up some projects, so this is kind of expected. All right, it loaded. So the thing I want to check is whether my Kick 3 plugin still works, because when I was working on this track, Kick 3 was still only in beta, and I did upgrade to Kick 3 now that it's released, so it shouldn't be in beta anymore, but I just gotta make sure that I can still play back the kick. Okay, it still works. It still works. Great. The general idea for the track was that I wanted to make a hard techno track. That's basically my starting point. I have an idea, you know, I'm gonna make this kind of track. I'm gonna use one of these kind of templates that I have built out for a hard techno track, just so that I have the arrangement laid out, just to give me a better visualization of how the song is going to be structured. But then, as you heard, the final result, it kind of more took the direction of a fast driving techno sound rather than modern hard techno right now. Like the kick I have here, I used Kick 3 while it was in beta to shape the kick that I want. Oh, yeah. Demo mode right now. Hold on. Okay, now we're registered again. Now Kick 3 is actually working. All right, yeah. So I used Kick 3 to shape the kick. I started with some preset. I forgot which one. I don't know if I want to mess with it right now, but I did start with a preset and kind of just like shape everything around until it sounded like what I wanted it to sound like, which is kind of like a really aggressive yet like bouncy sounding kind of kick. Yeah, something like that. And then for processing, I've got a couple of roars in here. This is a new distortion plugin as part of Ableton 12 update. I kind of just mess around with some settings here. There's not really like particular setting that I'm trying to go for in Roar. It's really just experimenting and see if any of the effects work the way I want them to. A lot of experimenting with these. EQ, I cut out much of the low end, the really subby part that you don't really hear, because a lot of that is also going to be filled up with the bass line anyway. I cut out some frequencies that I didn't want. I put this kick reverb rack in here. It's to kind of generate a rumble from the kick. So you get the techno rumble, as they call it, like you're in a warehouse. And then there's this kick top layer. It's to give it a more like clicky sound to the kick. Yeah, so it'll sound like that together with the kick. There's this kick bass track here. So what this is I took the sound of the kick here, I route it into this channel, and this has a delay and a sidechain on it. So what the delay is going to do is going to kind of give the kick this kind of like galloping kind of sound, you know. You kind of, it's like that galloping kind of rhythm that you would hear in some trance or other hard techno tracks. So it's gonna sound like it's very subtle. It's kind of like a little heartbeat after a kick happens. So I cut out a lot of the highs and the mids just to have like more of the bass sound in here. Because otherwise, if you don't cut that out, this is what it's gonna sound like. Yeah, so then I would just like cut that part out and this how it sounds. There's a kick roll here. It's kind of just the audio from the kick here, and you just like combine that. I would slip this in. You can get some like interesting rhythms to break up the 4 on the floor pattern. Yeah, like stuff like that. I kind of just vary it up every 4 bars or so. It's kind of like every 4 bars would change up the rhythm here, just to keep things interesting. Pick top loop. It's just you know, a subtle kind of percussion. Give the kick some more like texture. There's the side bass. Yeah, it's exactly as it sounds. It's like a psytrance style bass line. Kind of hear it a lot now in techno these days, which is kind of surprising. I would usually hear this kind of bass line in psytrance, of course, and then it kind of gets brought over into some some EDM tracks. Kashmir uses it a lot in some of his tracks. Eli Brown uses it in some of his techno tracks. But yeah, I do like the psytrance bass line a lot, so I kind of tend to just like slip that in together. You get that kick drum and side bass. And I think I open up the high end in the second drop, so you hear more of that side bass. Yeah, you hear more of that high end now. So it's like double 2 side chains on it. Wait, why did I put 2 side chains, huh? What was I trying to cook here? Drums, you know, honestly, like drums, I kind of, if it's not the open hi-hat or the ride, I don't really pay too much attention to how the hats sound. Like in hard techno, I think by nature, a lot of hard techno has really harsh and noisy drums. So as long as you pick something that is like really noisy and driving, you know, just it should work. I have a bunch of hats channels here. So I have like 2 hats groups for the loops. This one for the open hats. So yeah, like the open hats you're going to hear a lot more, and the closed hats is really just like noise to keep up the high end energy. Hats 3, yeah, it's just hats 3 is like that classic 909 hi-hat sound. So just like more drum layers here. So you put all these together, you just get all this happening. Oops. Get that ride in there too. A lot of noise in the drums here. And the snare, it's just, you know, mainly for the build. Actually, no, this is more like, it's kind of like the psytrance snare. You've listened to a lot of like high-tech psytrance, you can kind of hear that is a common sound in place of a clap. So you use like this kind of distorted snare. Where did this sample come from? I think this was from a Production Masters pack. I grabbed that, put some reverb, drum bus on it, EQ, clipped the hell out of it, and yeah, that's this is how the psytrance clap sounds, and then I would use that in the build. Snare 2 is really just for fills. It's like a fill. Yeah, I think I use a different snare for this one. Yeah, a different snare for kind of like a drum fill. Put roar and drum bus on this one. EQ limiter. I forgot to mention what I put on the drums. I don't think I really did much with the drums. No, it's just EQ, sidechain. Yeah. Not really too much going on, although the HATS 3 channel has reverb, roar, drum bus. Yeah, it's really minimal processing. Percussion loops, I've put roar and drum bus on this. You're gonna see me put roar and drum bus on like everything. It's like Frank's Red Hot. I've been putting that shit on everything because it just works so well. So perk 1 is this loop, just to add some like noise and texture. And this one, same deal. It's just like another loop to add noise and texture and kind of like another rhythm. This arp, what does this sound like? Oh yeah. I wanted like kind of a subtle arp in the background. I found this rack that makes this arp sound. And it puts some processing on it, just roar, another rack called Modernizer. It's what does this do? It puts a vocoder on it. It's like subtle vocoder effect on it, and then sidechain. And then I would just have this in the verse here, and then like at the end going into the outro. The lead sound I don't really introduce until near the end of the song. This one I used Spire and Diva. I have a Spire. I use this preset Keys Eternal. Don't know what that is from, but I put some processing on it, roar, drum bus, obviously, and then lead layer. I have a Diva. This alone sounds like this. Just kind of adds like a layer of, you know, the side grit to the lead. Okay, yeah, you can kind of hear that in the. To me, I can like hear it in the back of my skull. No, but together, that's what the lead sounds like. Acid, I use Phocion for acid. I've been using this a lot. Phocion 2 for all my acid sounds. Even though I could really use like anything to make an acid sound, I really like this acid synth. It's just like so good. You can even go through a bunch of preset sequences and arps and just like change things around and export the MIDI from the synth. You get a lot of different preset sounds to work with. You can kind of like mix and match certain effects and sounds too, and this is what the acid sounds like. So I use some variation modification of this theme, DQ, deception, and synthesis, wild larynx. You can see the asterisk there. I've changed some settings around. Pretty sure I took the MIDI. I just like ripped the MIDI out from the key deception scene and shuffled the patterns around a little bit to get this pattern and this sound. I forgot to mention I use Shaper Box too, but it's really just for like some subtle movement effects. This one's to make things more stereo, I guess. Stereo, sidechain, yeah, not really too much going on here. I got a lot of automation happening throughout the track, just like, open it up until it gets to... Open it up during the break until it gets to the drop. And like close it down and just like gradually open it up. This vocal, I took a bunch of different vocals and just like crammed it into this channel here. What is this even from? I think this is from, was it Eliminate's like Cyber Vocals pack? Was it Eliminate? Yeah, it's from, I think it's from Eliminate's Cyber Vocals pack. It's funny because I've been hearing a lot of new tracks lately coming out that use this same exact sample, and I'm pretty sure one of the tracks was just called Dance All Night, which is like, what was the original sound like?
Dance all night. I just want to dance all night.
Yeah, so the original sample,
I just want to dance all night.
It just sounds like this.
I just want to dance all night.
So
I just want to
put a bunch of different effects to make it sound, different than the original.
I just want to dance all night. I just want to dance all night.
So I've like, Nectar. I don't think I even have any pitch correction on there. I just have harmony, dimension for chorus, little alter boy just to like lower the performance a little bit, saturation, OTT, vocal processing chain, fresh air. I have mixed feelings about using fresh air, but it does the job. It does the job. It's just a couple of knobs. It does what it needs to do. And then there's like a flanger or something. Yeah, flanger and auto pan that I kick on when it gets to the break here. It gets to the end of the break. You can kind of hear the panning, and then you get some wild auto pan action happening like right at the end here. Yeah, if you got headphones on, then you can hear that. You can hear what's going on. But yeah, I think this is also from the same pack. It's just a different vocal sample. I think there's like three different vocal samples from that same pack.
Come dance like me. Yeah, move your feet. Come dance like me.
Yeah, I mean, I first time using the pack, I think, and there's some good stuff in there, so I just like threw that in. I think this is from the Cruella vocal pack. Kind of like a tribal kind of sound, tribal shout. Not really too much going on with the processing, just like delay, reverb, another reverb, vocal shots. Oh, so this, so for this channel, the vocal shots, I've been using this a lot. I think it's a Spitfire Labs plugin. It's called Epic Choir. Yeah, Spitfire Audio. And this just like a sample instrument thing that has a bunch of different like choir samples. You can kind of play it like so it would sound like that. I think this started as a male sounding choir. I think I used Alter Boy to change the formant on it. Actually, no. What did this do? Pitch it down. Huh. Doesn't sound too different. I wonder what I was doing there. I put some more distortion here, roar, hybrid, reverb, drum bus. I would just play the choir-like notes. Just to give it that kind of like, I don't know, I think I was thinking opera, you know? In my mind, I was thinking like stage opera performance kind of mood. You know, oh, actually, you know what? When I was making this track, I remember I was on Twitter and I was reminded about the Van Helsing scene with the ballroom dance, that ballroom dance scene. And I had that in mind while I was making this part here. And I guess that's kind of what I wanted to go for, is like that kind of aesthetic, I guess. Got a couple of stabs. What did I use here? Oh, this is, yeah, it's kind of like that whoop sound. Now, honestly, I think I started with this stab first, stab 2. And just, I made a channel up here. I was like, oh, it's up there. I might as well just rename it. And this is just like that stabby FM bass stab thing. What do you like? Is there a proper name for this sound? It's in a lot of like melodic techno tracks. So yeah, I just took that. I mean, I use that kind of sound a lot. I think it's cool. You know, I like the sounds. It sounds like heavy, sounds badass. And then you have, I just needed I was trying to find a sound that would like fit the profile, I guess. And I guess it works. I don't know. It could have been like any other sound really, but I think as I was like cycling through sounds, I just picked one that was like, oh, this is fine. You know, I think at this point, I just wanted the track to be done with. And so I just like picked something and ran with it. A lot of effects here. Actually, not a lot of effects. It's pretty simple. I usually try to keep effects minimal, but yeah, you got the riser here. You'll usually have this riser at the end of breaks. Yeah, so typical riser sound. What I use here? It's just the same riser sound that I use all the time. I have a noise up channel, just like an up sweep. I have this for a transition. It's kind of like a reverse cymbal, and it fades away. Nothing too special there. And then there's a kind of like a vocal transition that's kind of like that reverse cymbal. Yeah, like reverse vocal, and then it falls. Use that a lot in I use that a bunch to transition between sections. And then finally, there's this Atmo channel that I use for just setting like some, setting the atmosphere, setting some ambience. And this is the sound that I settled with. It's this one pad preset called Everest. Not too much to talk about here. It's I put drum bus and EQ'd out the low and high and sidechain it. I think that covers everything. And once you put it all together, you get this. So yeah, that is my project file for my song Primalis. I hope you enjoyed that and maybe learned something. And I'll probably do another track walkthrough for when I release my next track, Harbinger. By the time this video is up, you should maybe see the next video in one of these corners here, going to that video. And you can listen to this track on any platform that streams music. I encourage you to check out my Bandcamp at lation.bandcamp.com. You can buy the track directly from there, and that'll be the best place where you can support me and my music. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.